Hello, hello. Welcome back to Ram and Goat Astrology. And thank you for joining us. I'm Laura Lee.
And I am Helena, and today we're talking about an asteroid.
Yeah, we're going to dive into a new asteroid we haven't really touched on.
We haven't, and I think that it's pretty interesting how we came to the conclusion to talk about this asteroid.
Yeah.
You and I were talking the other week, like sort of planning what we're going to be talking about, and you decided to pull a card from
Yes.
your astro deck.
Yes, I have a Star Codes Astro Oracle deck by Heather Robbins. And I, I was like, let's just let the cards tell us what we should talk about. So we did. And
And
so
they
we pulled
said,
Vesta. Vesta the asteroid. So, Helena, tell us a little bit about when she was discovered and that kind of background,
yes.
because I don't even know
Okay.
that.
Yeah, so the asteroid Vesta was discovered on March 29th, 1807 by the German astronomer Heinrich Wilhelm Olbers.
Okay.
And Vesta is one of the largest asteroids in the asteroid belt. It's the second one after Ceres.
I like series.
Mm.
So, everything, I think people get a little confused with asteroids and things. There are orbits that, these gravitational orbits that happen around a star. And it's like the East Australian current, right? It's a current through the ocean. The energy all kind of connects and it flows smoother in that path. That's essentially how I understand what an orbit is out in space. And there are certain orbits that function around our sun, but also around other like planets and stuff too. Our moon is in a stationary orbit around us. And Vesta and other asteroids get caught in these orbits as well. And so they are like planets, but they don't have certain characteristics that are required for the kind of the notation of planet. But they still have a frequency that they give off. So
Yeah.
even though they're not an actual planet, they still have a significant energy source that radiates from it. It's still measurable, still palpable. We still feel it in our chart. And for the asteroids, what I've learned about when I've done a little studying on these is that they're more of a feminine energy, whereas a lot of the planets carry a masculine
Hmm.
tone to them. There's Mars and Saturn and Jupiter, and they're all very energetically masculine. The asteroids tend to be much more in the feminine realm. So they bring that feminine balance to the zodiac that seems a little patriarchal at the moment, or masculine and energy, where this is the softer kind of undercurrent of
Hmm.
the frequency. Does that make sense?
It does. And also, just to add about asteroids, Pluto is an asteroid.
Yeah, I think him and Ceres are in the dwarf planet slash
Ah,
giant
dwarf planet. Yes.
slash giant
The
asteroid
outcasts.
category. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's always that debate like Pluto cannot be a planet.
But he was, but now he's not. And then, yeah, because he didn't
Yeah,
fit a
yeah.
certain classification. But Vesta would be in the realm with Ceres and Pluto in that energetic frequency, the size of it and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So when
Very
I picked this
cool.
card, if you guys are watching on YouTube, when I picked this card, the card is in really interesting art on it. It's basically almost like
I like
a
that.
Roman pillars, but set up in like a almost like a little miniature bird cage, right? So it's kind of the
Mm.
bird cage style, but instead of cage, it's these pillars, and then in the middle of it is a vase type object, and above the vase is a flaming ball of something. So it's a really interesting kind of reverence of this flame, right? There's this flame that's like a sacred type flame. And that's really what
Mm.
I've learned about Vesta and what her meaning is. So we'll dive into that. I just wanted you to see the picture. What else? Anything else in the discovery of her that we should learn about? Like what year she was discovered? It was 1807, you said?
Yeah, 1807. So that's pretty long ago. Just for I can also name just the other asteroids if someone's interested.
Yeah.
Ceres was discovered in 1801, so that's around the same time.
Mhm.
Juno 1804 and Pallas 1802. So
Oh,
these were all discovered in the same time. But Vesta was the last one of these 4 asteroids to be discovered.
Huh. Wonder
Hmm.
now my brain's like, what was going on with the planets when all these
Why?
asteroids were
Yes.
discovered?
Yes.
Like, what happened then? We'll have to check the early 1800s and see what was going on in the sky then. Almost like it was illuminating another layer of
Yeah.
celestial energies, right? Like this layer got opened up. Like, look at all these other cool things.
Well, yeah, there must have been I don't know what era this was, but I feel like there must have been like a massive leaps with
Like
uh
telescopes.
exactly with like the industrial things like telescopes, like technical stuff.
Yeah, and like maybe perfecting the lenses and the refraction
Yeah.
and getting the right type of magnification. They're probably
Yeah.
playing around with that at the time. I got to check out that
Yeah.
time frame now. Now I'm super curious about that.
What
So
happened
when
in
I look
1807?
the early 1800s. Okay. So when I
Yeah.
look at Heather Robbins' description from the Oracle deck of this, this is what it says. Vesta calls you to be a hearth fire, to share yourself for the benefit of all, but still have enough energy left to live healthfully and give again another day. The second largest and brightest asteroid between Jupiter and Mars. So if we think about that energetic realm, we have Mars, the planet of drive and go and passion, and Jupiter, all of the expansion, learning, growth. So she's parked kind of between those two.
Hmm.
She was named after Vesta, the oldest goddess of hearth, home, and family, and the center of a strong community. The fire in her temple was never allowed to go out, and the fire in the hearth of every home was sacred to her. She did not get involved in politics or the misadventures of the other gods. she was
Hmm.
she was keeping it close to her bosom here. I'm not
Not
getting involved in
getting
that.
involved in anyone's business.
She kind of reminds me of Switzerland. I'm just not,
Eh,
not doing it.
yeah.
Not doing it, man. So the action when this card comes up is to evaluate your life, and each human's task is to help reduce the total suffering on earth and increase the total joy. Oh, think about that. If we all just live towards that task,
Hmm.
right? Reduce the total suffering and increase the total joy. Your joy and suffering matter as much, neither more nor less, than anyone else's, and do not burn yourself up for another's cause, nor withhold your warmth, but share what you have to offer. So that's a really
Hmm.
interesting thing. There's more
It
to go on.
is.
There's more to go on, but I feel like I'm gonna pause there. So we were wanting to explore Vesta today with you all, and check it out in your chart if you need to know where Vesta is. It is something you have to add in to the settings of the chart. So if that's something you would like to explore, we'd be happy to dive in and do a chart reading with you on
Hmm.
that. But yeah, we wanted to try and give a little bit of extra knowledge and information because astrology can go, oh, so deep, right? So deep on all of the various things. And I think bringing in the asteroids and that feminine energy is important to understand.
Yeah, just another
So,
layer. And the symbol for Vesta is sort of like a V with sides on it. So like if you go from the bottom and you go up to each side diagonally, and then you sort of go straight out a little
yeah,
bit. So it's like a V and then continues with like arms straight out. And some other,
looks like
I'm not
a
looking at it
a
now.
zigzag, like a Harry Potter zigzag on the front, on the top of that.
Oh,
So to me,
okay,
that
that's
looks
very
like
cool.
a vase with fire coming
Yeah,
out of it. Doesn't that look like a like the Olympic torch where you hold the chalice and then the flame is coming out the chalice? That's what
I have to look at it. See.
right?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it does. Well, oh, look, it looks like this is interesting because well, now I just put into Google like Vesta symbol. Let me look at it.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought when I now saw this again was sort of like vagina or like
Yeah.
like not vagina, but
That
pubic
fit.
bones. Like
Yeah.
the triangle. It's like a triangle with like a little fire steam coming out of it. Like very sort of yeah, feminine, I would
I love
say.
that description. I really do. That's fun. Yeah,
That's sort of like what I'm seeing.
that's exactly it. It very
Steamy
much
pubic bones.
feels like a feminine energy. Yeah, it's like a little
Mm,
V inside a big V with arms, and then above that is this like little Z symbol or little flame coming off of it. But it's very symbolic of this that feminine energy, that power around the sacral region with the feminine. Yeah. I
yeah.
thought that too when I first saw it. It's like with Venus with the plus down below representing the feminine. This is like almost that V pointing down with that feminine energy
Yeah.
being lit up. So
Wow.
Vesta has a couple key themes that we want to just bring up. Her energy is really that sacred devotion and sacred purpose. So when we really want to think about what those words mean, what is sacred devotion? Well, it's the thing that your heart has to do in this life that you really just are just called to do. So I'm going to use Olympics probably a lot for this because I feel like Vesta is really
Mm,
part of like this Olympic mindset. Why does a person pursue Olympic status? Why? What is that? It's an internal drive. You don't get I mean like you can, but you don't necessarily you're not guaranteed lots of money by winning the Olympics. You're not necessarily guaranteed to go down in history with fame. It's just this aspiration to strive for something that is just so lit up inside of you, right? Nobody else lights up an Olympian from the outside. It's this inside drive to go
mm,
beyond what humans have pursued physically before in whatever category. So it's a very interesting, almost like compulsion and what that sacred devotion or purpose is. So
yeah.
I really love to think of that Olympic torch again. Like what pulls us or it's almost like we can't not do it. Right? We have to do it.
Mm,
So that's to
yeah.
me what sacred devotion
Dedication.
and purpose feels like. Is would that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I'm reading up a little bit on her now. It's like she also represents focus and dedication. And I feel like, yeah, it's so accurate with that little fire then being like that inner fire that sort of fuels you.
Yes. That's exactly what it feels like. And for Vesta herself, the energy of the goddess, she didn't have any desire to fight or get involved in all of the things there that the masculine gods were doing. She's like, I'm gonna tend to my home and my babies and my food and like that. She was just focused on that was her sacred devotion was tending to the needs of her
Oh.
family and so really interesting asteroids. So where she is in your chart would tell you where your sacred devotion essentially shows up, correct?
Hmm.
So where is yours? I'm
Yeah.
curious. Where's Vesta for you?
So I have my Vesta is in my seventh house. Virgo 6 degrees in my seventh house.
Okay. So being of
So I would
service.
have, yeah, for sure.
Are you
And
helping people to understand things with Virgo and the mercurial need there to understand and maybe have better systems, creating better systems in your partnership or with whoever you're
yeah,
working with?
yeah, to me, like this is definitely like wanting to take care of the other in a relationship. It could be, a best friend, romantic partner, a family member, all of
Yeah.
those things. That's very interesting because this I have not been diving into asteroids at all, and this is like a totally new layer. And this makes so much sense to me. It really does. I don't have any planets in Virgo, so but I feel that Virgo energy, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely how it comes out.
Well, and I love when
It's
you put
like,
devotion and Virgo
yeah,
together in
yeah,
partnership. Like, whoa.
yes,
Sacred devotion, partnership, and let me be of service and help you raise your vibration to a healthy level, right? Like very,
hmm.
very health focused and partnership
And that's
focused.
very accurate. That's
Yeah.
very accurate for me. Yeah, where's yours?
Mine happens to be at in Aquarius, 1 degree Aquarius, so brand new baby Aquarius, and it's in the eighth house, almost in the middle of the eighth house. It's the only thing I have in the eighth, and it's having only one conversation to my moon in Gemini, a trine, a very nice trine, a tight trine. So this to me looks like my devotion, my sacred devotion and purpose would be to really help, first of all, me find my authenticity and my unique path, right? And transform and transform and transform and transform until I
Mm,
do, which I have. Yay.
mm,
And then tell people about it from my heart, right? With my moon in Gemini. So I got to tell people from my heart space and share how they can do it too. So my devotion is
mm,
exactly what I'm doing, being a weirdo, telling people how they can be weirdos too.
mm. Would you
Yep.
say like about asteroids generally, not talking about Pluto here, would you say that asteroids are function more in the same way as like the North Node, where it's not a personality trait, but it's like just something that you are just driven by this, or would you say it's like a planet that is more like it's actually in your
Yeah.
personality?
I think it's that
Yeah,
one. I think it's because it's
yeah,
a celestial body that exists physically and it has a radiating frequency.
yeah,
That's a program on your psyche. But I think because we live in such a masculine society,
yeah.
we don't often recognize slash tap into slash label these more feminine energies, this more
Mm,
feminine flow. And I think that's probably the biggest difference there is the planets are very there. They're more
yeah,
solid, whereas the asteroids are more like subtle. That's that
yeah.
feminine subtlety. But I think it's a programming.
Mm.
I definitely think it's a programming.
Side
Yeah.
note, I went to see a friend of mine today, Fredrika, we had her on the show, and where she lives, there was these gates outside like the village where she lives now, and on the gate there was this iron, um, what are wild pigs called? Boar.
Boar.
There were boar heads on these like in cast iron, and Fredrika was talking about when we got there that boars in their in their like community, it's actually a matriarchal community, boars, and that like no boars will mate or do anything unless like the matriarch will subconsciously or like suddenly let them know that it's okay. So they like control the whole all of the boars in their little community with their scent, just with
Hmm.
this like their pheromones, and they let out like now it's okay to do this, like they communicate with their scent. And I just found that so cool, like they don't have to like be talking or yelling and or like pushing anyone. They're just like letting out these pheromones and like letting everyone know what's up.
I love that. What a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
That's so amusing. I did not know boars were a matriarchal society.
yeah,
Did, didn't know that. Learned something new
yeah.
every
So a
day.
big side note to asteroids, but
Mm.
yeah, feminine energy.
Well, and that's something like growing up. Now I knew you and I obviously grew up in different parts of the world for real. In your society, was masculine and feminine energy, was that ever discussed or talked about, or did
No,
anyone bring that up with you ever?
no,
No.
never.
No. No, this is just new, I feel like new language, new jargon we're just learning how to work with. And as we deal with you know, having balance and harmony with the masculine and feminine in our society, I think we're struggling with that within ourselves. So we do have to make ourselves aware of these more subtle placements. But man, sacred
Mm,
devotion and purpose, I don't know, that doesn't necessarily seem so subtle. That's especially when you
yeah.
apply it towards an Olympian who's running faster and faster and doing all of these stress tests and these trainings and traveling across the world and all of the things it takes to be in that Olympic sport or in that Olympic experience. Man, that's Vesta. She's rocking
Mm,
in their chart pretty solidly because I don't know what
mm.
else would make you want to do that shit besides sacred devotion.
Yeah, that is totally like, you just those people who are like people who are going to the Olympics and competing. I don't quite understand it because it's so I don't think I would do that. Like I clearly have other things I'm dedicated about, like
Right.
But yeah, it's very impressive to see. And like you said, they don't get much money. It's just sort of for themselves to know that I pushed through and I did this. And people who go there and maybe end up in second place and they come back after 4 years and try
Do
again
it
and they
again.
come back again after 4 years. And then eventually some of these people, they actually manage to get that gold medal and imagine that
Mm-hmm.
feeling. Oh my
Yep.
God, the dedication
So
and
I was gonna
focus.
say that focus and discipline and then
Yeah.
persistence to achieve your goals, that's all Vesta energy. That so if we think about I feel like she should be in everybody's reading because isn't that nice to know
Hmm.
where you're focused and disciplined to achieve your goals and be persistent? Shit, for
Yeah.
people like me who struggle to finish projects, it's nice to know that my focus and discipline is in Aquarius and it's got to be done my own weird way,
Hmm.
my own unique way, eclectic. I'm going to probably rebel against my own self. That's okay, right? Like I have to know that and to know that it's at 1 degree Aquarius, it's just brand new.
Yeah.
So it's going to
Yeah.
be a little chaotic and nobody's going to follow at all what I'm doing. And that's okay. But then that's where that brings us to our another theme with Vesta's boundaries and personal space. So
Yes. Yes.
linking that to the focus and discipline and that sacred devotion, if we don't create the boundaries and the personal space to have the focus and the discipline and to follow our sacred devotion, well, then we're not going to ever
Yeah.
achieve anything at all. So the boundaries and discipline and personal space that Vesta's connected to is really, really important, I think. So knowing Vesta, we got to know where she
Yes.
is.
Yeah, I think this is amazing what it says here. Like it teaches us about the importance of self-care, alone time, guarding our energy so we can show up more fully in our work or relationships. So yeah, wherever this is. So for you in Aquarius, um, in the eighth house, the importance of self-care there and alone time so you can go deep within yourself and find your inner weirdo.
Yeah.
And that is linked to creating boundaries and, cultivating that inner space. That to me rings, feminine energy very loudly.
Yeah.
Going to
So
your inner world.
do you see that showing up for you with Virgo energy with the boundaries and personal space? Do you schedule that for yourself or is that analytical or how does that
Yeah,
show up in a Virgo way?
because it's in. Well, that's actually like I've never thought about this because I've never really looked at Vesta in my chart. But as you ask me that question, I'm seeing my
Mm-hmm.
life sort of before my eyes. And in relationship, I really value alone time. I need me and my partner both, which is good that we both have this need, so we can give it to each other. I really have that need in the like my day-to-day life. So it's not like once every couple of months.
Yeah.
It's like many times per week, I need that alone time. And what I do usually is I get up really early in the morning and maybe meditate or I go to yoga.
So you do something
Very
health
Virgo.
focused. Yes.
Yes.
I love that so much. I kind of wish I had that.
Ah, but and when I do this, I don't always um sometimes I get in a bad rut and I don't do this for a while.
Mhm.
But when I am doing this, I feel so much better. Like it's really something that I need.
Mhm. Oh, I
And
feel
it does
this.
light that inner fire in me. I do feel I do feel more alive when I get this alone time and the introspective while doing these self-care things.
I keep thinking of eighth house for me and Aquarius for
Hmm.
me is very like I've got a little studio here that was a former garage that my husband converted to a little studio apartment. And just last night I spent a lot of time out here in the dark hours. I love being out here in the dark doing weird Aquarian stuff and nobody knows what it is. Am I making a rug? Maybe. Am I spinning wool? Possibly. Am I painting? You might find me doing that. Maybe I'm doing beads. Maybe I'm making wood crafts. I
Nobody
literally
knows.
nobody knows. But if she's out there, she's gonna be out there for hours and
Mm.
she'll come in at like 3 in the morning or whatever. It's a very, very eighth house Aquarian energy and it does require me to do that. Like if I don't do that, my whole life feels out of balance. Everything feels wrong if I don't have enough deep, quiet, alone time to do whatever I want, whatever freedom
Mm.
type thing, right? Whatever eclectic thing comes to mind. Because I've done that my whole life. In fact, Helena, I have to show you my parents' house. We built that when I was about 8 years old. And I have in my childhood bedroom, I have a skylight, and it's a quite tall roof. So it's a big skylight. And when I was a teenager, in order to manage my stress and all of the stuff going on, I put a ladder in my room, and I would live with a ladder in my room. And I'd climb up the top of the ladder, put a pillow up there, and I painted a giant 3 foot Marvin the Martian image from the Looney Tunes show. And so I just hand painted this Marvin the Martian thing for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then when that was done, I turned to the other side and I painted his dog. He's got a big Martian dog too. And they're still up in the skylight. My parents show them to people. We're like, this is our weirdo daughter, right? But that's such a strange thing to do, and
Mm.
sit and paint up in a skylight, a big mural up in a skylight, right? And that's the kind of freedom I required. But for hours on end, like, just leave me alone, very eighth house, right?
Yeah.
Leave me alone. And let me just do my transformational stuff in my own unique, weird
Mm.
way. Oh, I'm really liking Vesta.
That's so cool. So that, would you agree that like you feel like more clarity when you getting to do those things and that you are like feeding your inner fire?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my kids will even tell you if it's been too long, they're like, you should go do your art and go outside.
Go to the studio.
They do. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to, like, be all over us and control us. Go do your thing. But
Oh,
that's the boundaries and personal space that I don't have in the house because I'm not doing it with myself, right? So I've got to really show up more fully for myself in that self-care, that alone time, and guarding our
yeah.
energy. So
Yeah.
that's what she does. But
Yeah.
she also shows up with the energy of sexuality and healing. So she can have associations with sexuality, and mainly how we channel our sexual energy or the
Mm.
experience of the intimacy. So this is an interesting thing to dive into, because
Yeah.
we have a lot of changing sexual beliefs and across society, right? That's a big deal. Interesting how that is part of Vesta. What do you think of that?
Um, what do I think of that? Well, I was just trying to think about my own Vesta placement.
Right, I know. I'm
But
like processing and thinking about it at the
yeah,
same
I think
time.
I need to read this out loud. So Vesta has associations with sexuality, particularly with how we channel sexual energy, how we experience intimacy, how we experience intimacy.
Chaotically. Yeah, that makes
Interesting.
sense. Yeah, you can.
It can represent a process of healing, purification, or redirecting energy from one aspect of life to another.
Healing and
Well, yeah.
purification. Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. I
Hmm.
know. We're just
Well, I just
processing.
yeah, it's processing, but I thought of something else that I do when I'm alone, when I'm needing my alone time in my relationships, is I do things like I love like doing skincare stuff then.
Oh,
Like lock
yeah.
myself into the bathroom,
Okay.
do like a routine, put a mask on, take a bath. Also
Yeah.
like super Virgo. Maybe like, I don't know, comb my hair for a long time. So I mean like my hair is so smooth now. Or like do something very Virgo like with my appearance, you know what I mean?
But that's
Like
intimacy,
cut
right?
my bangs, taking my time.
Right. That's intimacy. That's the intimate time
Yeah.
we spend with ourselves, right? What we do
Mm-hmm.
in the bathroom or in our bedroom, that's the intimacy within ourself, how we experience
Mm.
intimacy. And for you, you focus on very Virgo things, grooming and tending to the beauty of that
Mm.
Virgo virgin, right? The beauty of
Mm.
herself. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I think for me, just with when I think about the sexuality and the healing, my kids and I were actually brought this up the other day. I was driving with my 3 teens, and sexuality came up, and as it does with
Mm.
teenagers randomly, and I had to dive into those conversations very, very rapidly. And we were talking about the different titles that people have, whether it's, bisexual or straight or what all of this stuff meant, right? And we
Mm.
were, I was creating some clarity for them around the verbiage. And I had told them, I said, I don't identify as anything in particular. I don't identify as straight. Now, I am
Mm.
a woman married to a man. That's how my path
Mm.
played out. But that's not the only thing I'm attracted to, right? That's not the only thing that I can create intimacy with. So I don't really put myself on one end of the spectrum or the other. I'm
Mm.
definitely in that gray version in the middle where it's kind of whatever it wants to be, which feels very 1 degree Aquarius.
Very
Like,
much.
don't lock
Yeah.
me in. I don't actually know what I am. I just got out of traditional Capricorn. Just let me figure this out. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm brand new here. Hi.
And I think that's such an interesting thing to honor about yourself too, and recognize that about yourself. If Vesta happens to be in, let's say, Aries, I think you would have an intense sexuality, and I think it would be very heated and very passionate, and there would be
Mm.
a lot of fiery energy. And I feel like you would take action directly and just make a decision and go for it.
Mm.
Whereas, like my husband's is in Pisces. He's very wishy-washy. Like, am I feeling like it? I don't know. What am I feeling like today? I'm not sure. It's very nebulous.
Mm.
And I just looked his up and I
Mm.
went, oh, that makes sense.
Mm.
It's more in the feelings realm. And if he's feeling tired, well, then he needs to focus more on the personal boundaries and the space and the healing aspect of Vesta and less of the sexuality, right? So I
Mm.
think that's, again, where we recognize the personal boundaries
Very
that she carries
interesting.
there. Yeah. So Vesta in the chart, where Vesta is located in your natal chart by your sign or your house, shows the area of life where you're most dedicated and where you seek to create something sacred. It also shows what may require personal sacrifice or discipline, and where you find a sense of wholeness through focused effort. That's a big thing to unpack. Maybe
Mm.
pause the podcast and re-listen to that again.
Yeah.
She's a really
Wow.
intriguing asteroid. I wish we
Yeah.
learned about more about her. So what does she look like? Let's dive into the different zodiac signs real quick.
Let's
Start
do
us off
it.
with Aries. So I know I just touched on it, but what
Okay.
does it say?
So Vesta in Aries brings a fierce independence and a dedication to personal freedom. This placement often shows a strong drive to pioneer new paths, and individuals with this placement feel purposeful when pursuing self-directed goals.
Mhm.
Their devotion is sparked by challenges and taking bold action.
Yeah.
So that's where the Vesta fire is in Aries.
I feel like if there's a person that pursues anything Olympic, their Vesta's probably in something dedicated or action oriented, whether it's Capricorn and
Mm.
dedicated to perfection, right? Or if maybe Aries where you're really taking bold action. But I just, man, I
I
still
also
can't
feel like
figure out.
entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
very entrepreneurial.
absolutely. Yeah. And in Taurus, this would show up with your values because Vesta values stability and sensuality. So now we're really focusing on our values. This is committing deeply to creating comfort and security. There's a devotion to building something tangible, something you can feel, right? Aries is kind of the taking action on, but the Taurus is
Mm.
actually being able to touch it, feel it, live in it. This is
Yes.
often through steady effort and routine, very one foot in front of another with Taurus. And this placement finds fulfillment in nurturing physical spaces and prioritizing your self care rituals. So that would be your daily things that you need to do, whether it's eating good food
Mm.
every day or journaling every day, getting into the routine that fuels your heart space, and then doing it consistently over time.
Mm. All right. So if your Vesta is in Gemini,
Mhm.
That means dedication to learning, communication, and sharing ideas. These individuals feel alive when immersed in curiosity
Mm.
and mentally stimulating environments, often dedicating themselves to study or teaching. Their focus is flexible, shifting between diverse interests that feed their intellect. So, because Gemini is so like scattery, all over like a butterfly tasting all of the flowers.
This it feels like because my Vesta's chatting so lovely to my moon in Gemini, it feels like this
Mm,
really resonates with me with Vesta Gemini. It really brings out that airy energy even more, right? It just
yeah.
really helps to like make that heart space aligned with me saying what I'm doing. I love Gemini energy.
Mm,
Man, where are my Vesta and Gemini peeps? Come hang out with me. Vesta in Cancer. This is where we have our devoted nurturers. And these are going to protect loved ones like nobody else, create a sense of home and belonging. This placement is going to find meaning in emotional connection. And you could take on caretaker roles or heavy family responsibilities. That's where your heart is centered. Personal space is sacred. And there's often
mm,
a need for lots of introspective time with Cancer. Kind of go introspective and really feel those feelings is necessary. I can see Cancer Vesta needing a lot of downtime because they're so nurturing of and protecting of
mm.
others.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that Vesta, because with planets, all planets have a home in a sign in the zodiac. I'm not sure if asteroids do, but I feel like Vesta sort of in Cancer, it feels like I mean, it's a good match in any sign, but I feel like this sort of very much they highlight each other. They bring out more of each other because they're already sort of similar in their energy, like a lot about the home and um yeah, interesting.
I agree. I agree. I think if
Okay.
they did have if Vesta did have a home, Cancer feels like it would be close to the home it would fit really nicely in.
Yeah. Yes. I feel both Cancer and Virgo.
Interesting, because I was thinking maybe
Yeah.
Leo as well with that fiery energy,
Oh,
right?
true. Yes.
The purpose and the focus and the discipline. She almost
Yeah.
felt to me like a Cancer slash Leo energy. Like if we could put her a little bit Cancer, a little bit Leo, it's like that sacred devotion and purpose with the Cancer, and then the focus and discipline with Leo. I don't know, possibly.
Yeah.
So with Leo, she's going to be driven by dedication to self-expression. This will be, of course, creativity, and we got to tap into the authenticity there. And then individuals with this placement could feel purposeful when sharing their unique gifts. And that could look like Olympic gifts, right? Throwing javelins really far or running and jumping over a big high pole, right? That's a unique gift. And that then is often they're devoted to inspiring others, which again fits that Olympic status, right? Why do you go
Mm,
to the Olympics? Well, because I'd like to win and hopefully inspire another generation of people and whatever. So they need recognition for their effort and then seeking fulfillment in projects that they can proudly claim as their own. I won this gold medal. I did this. This is
mm.
mine, right? It feels very
Yeah.
Olympian Vesta kind of energy.
It does. And then Vesta in Virgo. So in Virgo, Vesta finds purpose in service,
Mm.
precision, and self-improvement. This placement is devoted to perfecting skills, helping others, and maintaining a disciplined routine. Because Virgo is all about discipline and routine.
Do it.
They thrive on tasks that bring tangible results, often finding fulfillment in health, wellness, or organizational projects. Man, these tongue twister English words.
Yeah, you're doing really well. I frequently
Thank
forget this
you.
is not your first language. You do great.
Yeah.
So when Vesta hangs out, do you feel that when Vesta hangs out in Virgo, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I feel like, and then you add the layer of the seventh house. So all of you guys listening, I mean, you hear about the sign, but then also add the layer of the house placement. So with my seventh house layer of this, I can really see how this, um, acts of service and
Mm.
self-improvement in relationship and, yeah, I see this for sure.
Well, and perfecting your skills within relationship,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Really
Like my
working through.
favorite thing to do would be to like have a spa day with my partner and go to yoga or something together.
That sounds amazing. I'm coming. I'm coming over there, Helena. We're
Yeah.
doing it. Vesta in Libra. So this is where she's dedicated to creating harmony, beauty, balanced relationships. These individuals find purpose in partnership or artistic pursuits or value fairness and diplomacy. Now, remember, she doesn't want to do politics. She doesn't want to argue about your rules. She just wants to have kindness. So I feel like Vesta and Libra fits nice there. There's often a strong commitment to fostering peace and bringing people together.
Hmm.
That feels like a
Libra.
lovely, happy placement there, too.
It does. So next up is Scorpio. And in Scorpio, Vesta is intensely focused. Surprise, surprise. Seeking
Mm.
depth, transformation, and emotional authenticity.
Yeah.
This placement is drawn to understanding the mysteries of life, often devoted to personal growth or healing. Privacy and boundaries are sacred, and with energy directed toward meaningful connections.
Yeah.
So
No
yeah,
surface,
Vesta and Scorpio doesn't
no surface level shit here. Mm-mm.
no, it doesn't fuck around here,
No,
basically.
no, this feels like, oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, intensely focused.
Uh-huh. Well, and if you put those, that Vesta boundary, right? We talked about
Yeah,
boundaries of personal space and then the focus and discipline and the sacred devotion and purpose.
sacred devotion.
And then you add the
Oof.
layer of Scorpio. Ooh, this,
Yes. It feels good.
it feels like it fits here. Yeah.
Yes. Fits
Interesting.
everywhere.
If you move Vesta into Sagittarius, you're going to find dedication in exploring philosophy and the pursuit of all things wise, wisdom. We need to learn more and apply it and have wisdom. These individuals are super devoted to expanding their horizons, of course, through travel or through study or learning spiritual pursuits. And they can thrive on freedom and feel really purposeful when sharing the knowledge that they've acquired or then discovering new perspectives. Oh, you think about it that way? Oh, well, I think this way. And then you learn that through that means. Oh, well, we learned it through this means. Just constantly figuring out how all of the cultures, all of the people do all of the
Mm.
things. What happens when you move her into Capricorn?
Well, in Capricorn, Vesta is dedicated to achievement, discipline, and long-term goals. This placement values commitment and hard work, often focused on building a lasting legacy. There's a
Here's the
deep sense
Olympian
of
right here.
yeah, yes. There's a deep sense of responsibility with purpose found in career, status, and structured environments. So this is pretty cool, taking that, yeah, like intense dedication, and you put it in Capricorn, which is already really disciplined
Yes.
and like super focused and committed.
And
So
practical. And we're going to do this. And
I,
this is the practical steps we're going to take.
yeah.
Yeah. To achieve our status and our recognition. So if you had Vesta and Capricorn and then like your Leo MC, I could see
Mm,
where this would be like an Olympian kind of energy for sure. Oh
mm,
yeah.
mm.
Oh man, these people feel really like, ooh, they're going somewhere. They're doing something. If you've got this placement, let me know what you're doing because I'll hitch a ride. If you got Vesta in Aquarius, this is devotion to innovation, social causes, and collective progress. These individuals feel purposeful when working for the greater good or breaking new ground in unique ways. You guys, I put a disc golf course on my property. And I just have to say, I've never played disc golf or watched anyone play disc golf. I just did it because it felt innovative and unique. And why not?
Yes.
So I created a space for, gathering of social clauses and collective progress. Like that's what our farm is the Aquarian
Mm.
acres. And for this Vesta, independence is sacred, which is why I homeschool my children and I am an independent entrepreneur with 5 businesses. So, yeah, independence is quite sacred. They often need space to develop and share unconventional ideas. Welcome to my
Mm.
studio. This is my space to develop my unconventional ideas. Oh, I love that. And then our
That's
last but
very,
not
very good.
least, our friend Pisces. What happens there?
Yes. So Vesta in Pisces. Vesta is dedicated here to compassion, spirituality, and the imagination. This placement finds purpose in helping others, often in quiet or behind the scenes kind of ways, and values emotional connection. Pisces. Solitude and creativity are sacred, and they may feel drawn to healing, art, or spiritual practices.
This is so funny. You guys got to look at your Vesta. Now that I know my husband
Yeah.
has this, he has Vesta in Pisces, which we just read, but it's in the
Yeah.
11th house. So it's in Aquarius
Oh.
house.
Oh.
So he finds his purpose helping
Interesting.
others, but he does it in the quiet behind the scenes way where I'm more of the like, look at me, I'm doing the thing here. Look, we are the Aquarian acres. He's the like behind the scenes man. And
Yeah.
he helps with those emotional connections and at the events that we're doing. And oh, it's so interesting to read these. This is fun. I like learning new shit.
Yes, this is really just adding another layer of understanding that inner flame and what you need. Like I think that this reading this and understanding my placement with Vesta really lets me know that, oh, these little gaps of time that I'm taking for myself and doing like self-care or going to yoga and whatever, like going up early in the morning to spend alone, it's not just happening out of the blue for no reason. It's no it's not a just what, it's
It's your
for a reason.
devotional.
It's yeah, and it's really, because obviously we have all this we have this inside of us and we know what we need. Sometimes it's just easier when you see it like this, black on white, seeing it in your chart, it just brings more weight to it. It's like, okay, I'm on the right path with what I'm doing,
Yes,
and I need to make sure that keep doing that. I should keep carving out that
I
time
agree.
and space, yeah, to keep doing that.
I agree. Oh, this was fun. Thanks for
Mm.
exploring Vesta with me today and following the cards.
Yes, yes. And there was another card. We pulled another card straight after because we were both of us, we pulled Vesta and then we looked at each other, we are like, huh.
Yeah.
And then like let's see what else comes up. And you pulled another card. And what was it?
I think it was in detriment
Yes.
or yeah. So it was like when something's not in the sign it wants to be in. It's in like the opposite
Hmm.
sign, right?
But I feel like when we've been talking about Vesta, I feel like we've been saying like, oh, this fits so well here. Oh, this fits so well on this sign.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, like there's no detrimental sign. It
It
just
didn't
fits really well and
it
everywhere.
didn't feel like there was a detrimental sign, which I'm kind of like curious about. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. She just felt like she could nuzzle in any one of those. Where like some planets you
Yeah.
put it in a sign and you're like, oh, that just like
Yeah.
how do I find some harmony here, right? Where she just felt
Hmm.
like she just fit.
Yeah. Dedication and self-care, it can have many faces.
Yeah, for real. For real. So this was really fun. I like exploring asteroids. I think we should pull in a few more of them in the future for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thanks for listening today, everybody. Thanks for joining us on our exploration of asteroids and checking this out with us, learning something together with us. And we hope that you found something helpful in here and learned about where your sacred devotion and purpose is and a little bit about
Hmm.
how you can tap into that. If you'd ever want to get a reading from the two of us, we have that option at our podcast page in the link below, and you can get a personal reading with both of us and get an intake from an assessment from an air and fire perspective and an earthy perspective and see what works for you. You can get all of the answers from us. So we hope to have you tune in next time. Thanks, everybody.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Ram and Goat Astrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.